What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at the AMD FX 8370 cooled by a H100i version 2 paired with a hybrid EVGA FTW GTX 1080. And for those of you who don't know what hybrid is, it's half fan and half liquid. And we're going to pair it up with the LG 29-inch ultra-wide 2560 by 1080p monitor and see if it's still viable for gaming today as of July 1st, 2017. So let's dig in. So here's a look at the EVGA GTX 1080 FTW hybrid installed. It has a 120mm fan with a radiator down there. It also has a cable that runs down and lets you monitor your temperatures through software. And this is the AMD FX 8370 cooled by the Corsair H100i version 2. It comes with two fans. I've added extra fans for a push-pull configuration. So the front fans push air through the radiator. The rear fans exhaust the air out of the back of the case. And that also has a USB connected to the bottom, which you then plug into your motherboard, and that lets you monitor your temperatures and also adjust your fan speeds through the Corsair Link software. Okay, back over to the PC now. Okay guys, back on the desktop now, and we're going to take a look at the Corsair Link software. This will let me monitor the temps of the FX 8370 as well as some other things that are installed. It also shows the stats for the GTX 1080, the fan speed currently, and the temperature of the GPU. Also your motherboard temps, if your RAM supports it, your RAM temps, as well as your clocks, and your water pump speed and your water pump fans, as well as the temperature of the liquid. And up here you can see the 1.45 volts for the FX 8370, which may seem really high, but on liquid it's not bad at all. You can see that the package kind of hovers around, well, I probably got something running here. Well, I guess the recording software. So you can see the CPU usage. It hangs around the 30C mark. I guess while we're recording, it's jumping up into the 40Cs or so. So what we're going to do is go ahead and throw a little strain on the CPU so that you guys can see what the temps look like under stress. So this is a CPU Z, and we're going to go over to, you can see it's at 4.6 megahertz right now, or gigahertz, sorry. That's 4,600 megahertz, and my RAM is at 1800. That's why it says 900, so it's double data rate. So you that would be 1800 because it's a dual channel. And then let's go over to the bench here. We're gonna stress the CPU so that you guys can see what the temperature is going to do here on the package. Alright, so let's stress it. And you can see it's getting up into the mid 50s now under heavy stress. This is 100% load. Hopefully this recording still goes okay, considering that we have you know, trying to do the recording while the CPU is under 100% load. So around the mid 50s, guys, under real heavy stress, and you know, it can get up to around 60 if you're gaming for a long time. So let's go ahead and stop that stress test. But what I want you guys to see here before I stop it is that the H100i version 2, that the fans are still only 1500 RPM. This is in a Core P3 open air case by Thermaltake, so this is still really quiet, and well, we're not even stressing the GPU, so the fan speed doesn't matter on that. But as far as case fans go, it's considered, the two extra fans that I have on the front of the radiator are considered case fans. They're running at 1400, so that's also very quiet, and this is at, like I said, 1.45 volts. So let's go ahead and stop putting the strain on the CPU, and you're going to see that temperature drop back down pretty fast off of the liquid, which is pretty nice. So next, what we're going to do is open up, let's do the Valley benchmark, and I'm not going to run it full screen because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing here. I guess they don't really have a ultra wide. I can do a custom 2560 by 1080, which is the native resolution of this ultra wide monitor. Anti-aliasing 8X, quality ultra, and let's go ahead and run this. It should run in the back to where we can see what the temps and stuff are. I probably still have MSI Afterburner going also. Let's try to get back out here to link while that's running in the background. Okay, I just wanted to turn off the sound there. Okay, so now we're putting stress on the GPU. Let me see if I got Afterburner running. I do not have Afterburner running. So we're going to minimize this for a second. We are going to open up Afterburner and overclock the GPU. I can do a whole nother tutorial on this if you guys want me to. Just let me know in the description. Okay, so I'm overclocked the GPU now, and I'm going to put some on-screen stats to run on Valley. Okay, so now we got our on-screen statistics on Valley. We are running overclocked at 2088 with the MEM at 11,016. Says 5508, but again, that's double data rate, so it's 11,016 on the MEM. And you can see the FX is hanging out around the 40 mark, which is usually what it does during heavy gaming sessions. And the GTX 1080 is hanging out around the 40C mark, because 2560 by 1080 is really just not all that much stress for the GTX 1080. If we were to run it at 3440 by 1440, it puts some more strain on it. So you can see it's you know, getting 75 frames per second on Valley. This next part, the part that comes up with the rain on the rocks, is one of the hardest parts of this benchmark. I can also do some benchmark recordings if you guys want me to on the ultra wide. So anyways, you can see that the temps are staying cool, getting around 60 frames per second on the rain with 8X MSAA. So definitely it's a heavy hitter. Okay, if you guys know from checking out other benchmarks. And you can see that it's just, you know, it's putting some strain on CPU 1. That's just because of its benchmark. It doesn't utilize all the cores. Whereas if you're running a game that utilizes all the cores in a game, you know, you may only be getting 20 to 30 or 40% strain on the CPU. So to answer the question, if it's still viable to use today, you're damn right it is. You're going to be able to do 1080p gaming ultra settings, no problem. 1440p ultra settings, no problem. You know, as long as it's a good optimized game. Here's looking at you, Ghost Recon Wildlands, piece of crap. And you can run plenty of games at 4K 60 frames per second on ultra settings. Maybe not every game. Some newer games like Sniper Elite version 4, it's going to do 4K no problem, and so on and so forth. So this is my opinion, guys. If you're on the older hardware, you have an AM3 Plus motherboard with the FX 8000 series, 16 gigabyte of RAM at 1600 megahertz or more, go on and buy yourself a high-end GPU such as the GTX 1070 or the GTX 1080 or a RX 480 or a RX 580. Don't be afraid to crossfire them either. And if you don't, then go ahead, if you're starting out fresh, go ahead and move on to AM4, get you a Ryzen 5. A Ryzen 5 lowest end 1400 processor, 4-core, scores a little bit higher than the FX 8370 8-core, overclocked like all hell. Okay, you don't even have to overclock the 1400 and you're going to score higher on benchmarks, and it's also going to multitask better and be better for gaming than what the FX 8370 is. So if you're starting fresh, sure. To pair these things up, the GTX 1080, a liquid cooler for the processor, 16 gigabyte of DDR3 or DDR4, and either a FX 8370 or a Ryzen 5 1400 are on Newegg are going to cost you about $1,000 for either way you go for the four things. So if you already got, you know, your power supply and a case, $1,000, that's going to get you going. If you're starting out fresh, go the Ryzen way. If you're, like I said, if you're still on the older AM3 Plus, don't be afraid to throw a high-end GPU in it, guys. Very, very viable for gaming nowadays. You can check out my channel, PapaGames on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Gesture2014. You'll see that at the end of the video for the spelling. If you guys just click down here on the bottom right of the screen on my little PapaGames logo, you can subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on my video. That'll help my channel grow. So I hope this answers your guys' question, you know, on if you're thinking about doing an upgrade or starting out with a fresh build. If you have any questions, you guys want me to answer anything, just hit me up in the comments. Very active on YouTube. I'll get back to you right away. All right, thanks, guys.